My name is Nigel Tutt.
Hi, I'm Veronica Estegoy.
Hello, my name is Maria Alexo Piccolo.
I'm Wesley Katie.
My name is Kyle Sammy.
How has the state of
The country affected
Your ability to
Create and generally
be creative.
if there's one thing I've gathered from the state of this country, it's to be self-sufficient, man. That's the biggest thing I've got. Last year I was really troubled with, as a lot of us were, with the events that went down, from the murders of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, all of these, all of the events that went on, we were all troubled by, but I was also encouraged by some things that I witnessed in LA. I was able to witness a peaceful protest that I attended, and it was filled with tons of artists, and they came and they did spoken word, monologues, music, dancing, however art is presented is how they did it. The street we were on was sold up, was just like tons of people, and like it was just nothing but artists that were just coming and just pouring in and expressing how they were affected from the events taking place on last year. And literally when I was just sitting there and just watching all of these artists go up and just use their platform and for their voices to be heard, or just to be expressed, things to be expressed, I just look at it as it's a big playground for artists, despite any other circumstances given. That's all. It's just one big playground, and so it just encouraged me to continuously create, use the resources I do have around me, and go out into the world and still be able to do what I love to do, and that's create and be an artist.
Well, I did not expect to get a newfound sense of insecurity with being creative. You see everything that's happening in the world, especially with what happened in 2020, it's the beginning of the pandemic, protests, and you think to yourself, what's really the virtue of being creative? But then again, we go back to creativity isn't a talent. It is a skill that we all have, that we all can have access to, and you shouldn't feel insecure about basing your career off creativity. That's like being insecure about basing your career off being intelligent. We just have a different career field where creativity is accessed, and we shouldn't feel bad about using that. And there are so many ways to use it. And I guess being in this quarantine we're in helped me do research and find other ways to be creative. It is quite wonderful when you look at other people's art, at other people's passion projects, and especially during this time, it ignites little sparks in you, and then you try to adapt it to this time, and you create a whole new work of art. And that's what really this past year reminded me of, is how important art is, not only my art, but other people's art. And then also just how important being a balanced person is to my career. It's important to any career you have, but you have to remember that you are a human being. We are social beings. We also need to nourish our mind, nourish our souls, nourish our heart. Whatever creed or battle cry you subscribe to, you got to know what that is. Because at the end of the day, a career is a career, but you are a human being. And we have the power to do what we can for each other, for ourselves, and some would call that creativity in itself.
I think right now has been an incredibly difficult time for everybody. Regardless of what you do for a living, what your passions are, there's not a single person who's escaped what's been around us. But specifically in the pandemic, with those of us who pursue arts that are built upon live performance, being around people, working with people, I think it's been incredibly difficult, not only because we can no longer create the art that we wanted to create or had been creating, but also having that commitment and community around you. It's lonely to be an artist right now. Another difficulty everyone's been having is you think because you have more free time now, because we can't do certain things, that we should be creating. We have all this free time to do all those things we always wanted to do, but never had the time for. But I think it's unfair to place that burden on yourself. I also think that with all the pressures on people today and all the, emotional baggage that comes with living through a pandemic, that it's unfair to think that, you can't just take the time to really check in with yourself, and you can't take the time to just be okay and just make it through this time. It's not lazy to not fill every moment that we now have with creation. But at the same time, I think, it has opened the door to explore parts of yourself that maybe you didn't get to before. I think, I've seen a lot of really beautiful, creative art coming out of artists right now who are, taking all these emotions that we've been feeling, taking this situation and trying to make something beautiful about it. And I think that art can reach people and really help people in this time. But we shouldn't feel bad, whether or not you're creating right now. If you are, that's wonderful. Take that time, explore, make something beautiful, make something you didn't think you could. But if you're not, don't feel bad about it. Take the time to yourself to do whatever you need to do to feel all right. Personally, I've been keeping up by, finding new ways to express myself. I've been doing a lot of online readings, which has been great. But I've also taken the time to step back and kind of explore other aspects of myself, to take the pressure off, to not waste this time. It's been nice in a way, I think. Sometimes, it's also nice to just support other artists and what they're going through. And I think the most important thing for me has been reminding myself to reach out to that community that's just out there behind the screen or, over the phone, and make sure that I'm reminded every day that we're still all in this together and there's still wonderful things to come.
This pandemic has truly challenged me in many ways, where it pushed me to be as creative as I could possibly be at this point in my life. I'm used to theater, and so with the pandemic shutting down all the theaters, you kind of lose that one-on-one in the moment experience. So now I have to try to figure out how to make content for social media, short films or comedy skits or what have you, to draw my audience in. I can't just be in your face and have that same experience. But I think that the biggest thing in my life that has changed, that has been altered because of the pandemic, is basically becoming my own boss. I mean, I've always worked for myself as a musician and as an actor, but this is on a whole nother level. Like, I am my own boss, trying to build a foundation so that one day I won't want for anything. I won't have any struggles when it comes to money or anything. I have literally, in the past few months, have changed my mindset. And one day I will share these tips and these stories with our youth. And probably start with creativity.
Last year was very overwhelming for all of us, and I think it really brought a heaviness, and also I think it really woke a lot of people up that maybe didn't understand just how deep-rooted these issues were. And so I think it's important to stay inspired by the waking up and people coming together and standing up for what they won't stand for anymore. And it's definitely put a fire under my butt and it helped me realize that, it's all happening right now. Your art is needed right now more than ever. People are suffering every day, whether it be oppressed groups or, those that have survived loved ones from COVID, or those that are sick right now, or just whatever way they're suffering. That's where art is always needed the most. I've been personally trying to lean into it as much as I can and not only educate myself, but ask myself questions like, what do I have to do with this? How can I make a direct impact? How can I be a part of movement and change? It's definitely inspired me and motivated me to keep going. I'm just really trying not to fall into the fear and the heaviness of it, but to use that and to use those emotions to translate it into making more art that the world needs.